I don't know.
I love that. Hey, crew, how we doing?
Good.
Good.
Good, good. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for joining us for Insanity Check with Dr. Nita. I am your host, Dr. Nita Polite Wilson, and I am here with my co-contributors, Adrian Pastor, Eloy Garcia, and Sade Perry. Welcome back. Welcome back. We ended the last show on a high note, talking about 2020 and all the craziness. We won't even go to that last runner-up crazy because we just want to keep going. But it gave me the laugh that I have been looking for all year. So thank you very much, crew, for coming back. Today, we are continuing our discussion about 2020, the things that we thought were the top three on our crazy list. And today we're going to look at what tools can we take into 2021 that served us well in 2020? What things might we want to think about starting, stopping, doing more of, or doing less of? And I will share that what really worked for me this spring and summer was talk therapy and writing several easy to read books. I wrote about 6 books this year, and I'm getting ready to post them on my website. I also established another nonprofit. Talk more about that later. So I'm excited about the books that I wrote. But although I love working with people, I am an intense introvert. So I get my energy from being alone, and I'm in my head a lot. And I noticed that when I sigh a lot and I catch myself sighing a lot, I have to stop and ask myself what's going on. And the beginning of the year, I sighed a lot, very deep sighs. And after I went through talk therapy, I noticed that the sighing went away and now it's back. And when I'm stressed, when I'm troubled, I tend to go inward. I shut people out so I can focus on getting some clarity. And what I love about talk therapy and writing is that it allows me to empty the head trash and all the stories that are going on up here to, just kind of lay them out for someone to walk through those stories with me, diffuse that negative power that they had, toss it aside, and move forward. And so I plan to do more of both. I'm going to go for some more talk therapy, and I'm going to write some more because there's something about, for me, physically writing something on a piece of paper, getting my thoughts out, looking at it, processing it, and then just kind of putting it away. And a lot of those thoughts are beneficial in my writing and helping others. So that's why I'm really excited to introduce my guest for Real Conversations, which is going to be the last Saturday of this month. Her name is Nicole Hadley. She's a marriage and family therapist. And when I tell you that she's amazing, she is amazing. I don't want to say too much more about that because I don't want to take away from that show. But that is a tool, two tools that I'm going to take with me that I discovered in 2020 that I'm going to take in 2021 is talk therapy and writing. Typically, I go to Shar because she's my home girl. But I want to start first with you, Adrian, because in the last show, you were very candid with us. And again, I can't thank you enough for that in mentioning the fact that you're struggling trying to figure out what works for me. So was there anything in 2020 that worked for you?
In terms of things that worked for me, immediately
As
what I
far as dealing with the crazy?
yeah,
Yeah.
what works for me is kind of like I did in the first episode, just like that level of honesty. For
Mhm.
me, that works. Being honest about what I'm going through, not holding back about it. For me, my number one priority in any kind of relationship that I'm in any kind of situation that I'm in, is communication. I think communication is number one. I think communication is the most important thing. And so, in any circumstance, I find that it's always beneficial. It's always healthy. It proves to be just helpful at all times. And so for me, being able to be honest and open about things with people that I feel, I can be honest and open with. Like we said, we're a family and we're able to talk about those things. And I love that. And, with my own family too, there's a sense of just being able to let out the things that, I'm dealing with. And that's not to say I'm like dumping stuff on them, but, if they ask me what's wrong, I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to hide the things that maybe I'm confused about or, you know, not too sure about. And so a part of it is just communication and being honest with myself. That's truly helped me in a lot of different ways and being able to accept maybe what I can't change, but at least being able to accept it. And, another thing for me has been lately, I've been getting more into meditation, being able to ground myself and find peace in that. And so a lot of techniques for me involve just feeling grounded. And so for me, communication is a way of helping me feel grounded. Meditation for me is becoming a way of feeling grounded. I'm not, really experienced with it yet, but it's something that I definitely want to try more of, because when I do practice it, I feel amazing and I do feel really grounded. So those are some of the things that I'm working on right now.
I want to thank you for making that distinction between dumping on people and being honest when people ask you how you're doing, because the last thing we want is for people to be like, well, I really don't want to ask because she's really going to tell me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you guys know what I'm talking about. Those people that you're like, geez, I want to know how they're doing, but I don't have an hour. We don't want to be that person. That's a
Yeah.
whole different issue. That's somebody who probably needs to talk to a professional. And I'm not trying to make light of that at all. But the fact that you made the distinction between dumping on people and being real with what you're going through, that's huge. We need to do that. Too often we hear people, think that, Dr. Nita is my strong friend. And I think I mentioned this in the last show. There's a saying that says, check on your strong friends, because while we're strong for everybody else, when everybody else is cool, what happens to us? And the other thing that you mentioned was meditation. And in the last workshop that I did for a group of women, the title of the webinar was Resiliency and Renewal for the New Normal. And I asked people, how often do you give yourself the gift of time with yourself?
Mm,
We need to sit down and listen to ourselves and empty the head trash and listen to what's left, process it, see what's real, see what's not, see what we're giving our power to, and just really get into that. And I think that meditation helps with that. And those are two amazing things. Too often we just don't spend enough time with ourselves. And I'll be honest, years ago, um, I was always on the run. I was always busy. I was always going for this goal and that goal. Honestly, because I did not want to have that moment of time to hear myself think, because I was
mm,
afraid of what was really going on. And over the years, I have discovered what was really going on, and all my busyness and all my achievement was masking. And that's huge. And all these years later, to find out that, I was masking um, the fact that I wasn't good with me. Everybody else was good with me, but I wasn't good with me. That's huge.
Mm.
So when we think about spending time with ourselves, when we think about distinguishing between dumping and being real with folks, what comes up for you, Shar?
I knew you were going to go to me next. Um, it really hit home what you were saying right now about challenging yourself to spend time with yourself and acknowledging the things that you've been running from. And I feel like this year has been such a transformative year for me. And for that reason, exactly, I've had the time to slow down and kind of more than check in, really just come face to face with myself and with the things
Mm-hmm.
that I'm thinking and I'm struggling with, and the things that I'm afraid of. And my heart is pounding right now. I could relate
Why?
with what Adrian was saying as well, and the sense of being honest and vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally feel like human connection is essential in creating a sustainable life.
Mm-hmm.
And this year has forced me to strengthen those connections, because I need that, because I can't go and see you, because I can't go to the store, because I can't go from this to this to this to keep myself busy. So I'm forced to face what I'm feeling. And that's so scary to go through alone that I'm forced to reach out. And I've strengthened so many bonds and so many relationships, and I've really created a safe space for me. But that's not even what I want to talk about. That's gotten me through this year. I just felt so moved by what you said and what Adrian said that I wanted to share that. I
And
think
I
there's so much.
appreciate that's
Yes,
great.
yes. There's so much out of our control this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I very much need order. And so I feel like for me, I need to focus on the things that I'm in control of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also going through this transformation about myself. And I feel like I want to be the person that I am. And so I'm very organized. I do things by list. And so I create a list daily of the things that I want to get done. And I make sure that one of those things is something that's helping me grow.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's, I'm going to read NPR every day, read an article, and maybe like type some notes so I'm actually retaining the information. Or I'm going to find a new way to get outside and to exercise. or I'm going to have a difficult conversation that I've been putting off, or I'm going to try something new, like video editing. Just different things that are within my control, that give me something to look for, that give me something to do, that gives me something to share with other people, to feel like my life is continuous and it's moving despite
Mhm.
everything else going on.
I love what you just said about recognizing that you need to be in touch with yourself and that this year has forced you and everybody else to do that. I think you've probably embraced it better than other people, because some people are probably thinking, when is life going to get back to normal? And I think the point is, we don't want to go back to normal. We want to do better than normal. Whatever normal looked like, I don't think we want to go back to that. And when you mention the fact that you recognize that you're the type of person that needs order, when I think about my background and my training, I bring that back to our psychological safety. And that's something else that I mentioned in that last series, and talking about resiliency and recognizing the fact that, on a day to day or maybe hour to hour basis, we need to, and we have the right to redefine resiliency for ourselves. Some days resiliency may just be getting out of the bed, getting dressed. Some
Mhm.
days resiliency is, I'm Wonder Woman. I got a list of 10 to do in 3, and let's get it done. Some days resiliency is recognizing the fact that I need to go somewhere and sit or maybe lie down so that I can get strength to continue to be resilient. I know that how I define resiliency in my 20s and 30s is vastly different from how I define resiliency no longer in my 20s and 30s. I'm not going to tell you what, but it's vastly different. And it was just this year that I came to the conclusion, it's okay to have a different type of resiliency for a different season in my life. It doesn't mean that I'm any less resilient than the woman that I was. It means that it's a different type of resiliency for the woman that I am. And I think we need to give ourselves the opportunity to recognize that and to embrace that. And going back to what you said about needing order, when we talk about psychological safety, that's an acronym. The S is security, A is autonomy, F is fairness, E is esteem, T is trust, and Y is the degree to which you as an individual need one of those things. And so, Shar, the fact that you're telling me that you recognize you need order in your life, that's a sense of security, having consistency, knowing what's coming next, having control, or at least as a feeling of that we've got control. And so the fact that you recognize that about yourself, and whether or not you connect that to psychological safety, is huge, because whether or not we can connect what we're doing, how we're feeling, how we're showing up to psychological safety, the fact that we recognize what we need for ourselves is huge. I don't think enough people realize that. I don't think enough people understand that whatever's churning inside them is probably trying to lead them to what they need now versus what they needed this time last year. So, Eloy, I'm going to put you out there as someone who, you and I have a really special bond since we first met. Has it been 2 years, 3 years maybe now?
Going
Yeah,
on
going on
3,
3 years. At the Circle of Change conference where I spoke, and you just introduced yourself to me, and just off the bat, we just discovered that we were kindred spirits. I think we think a lot about things
yeah.
the same way. Tell me, how are you coping in 2020? What are you taking with you into 2021?
Yes, thank you. To echo what you and Shar and Adrian have been saying, it's been a year of conversations with myself and not being able to distract myself from those conversations. Not always because it's like I don't want to have them. Sometimes it's like you're saying, Dr. A, of do I have the resiliency in this moment to dive in and to dive deep and have those conversations. And 2020 has been time, to do all of that. So with your help a lot this year in particular, I've learned to lean on my passion projects and to engage with that more and to not let them fall by the wayside, because in moments when I've been, stressed, you've noticed I haven't posted like an LPD cast episode in a while. So during our check-ins, you'll ask me, what's going on with the podcast? What are you doing? Make sure you keep that up. That makes you happy, that feeds your soul in a different way from the other work that you do. So maintain that. And hearing that from you has been really helpful, because I then make sure to do that. I don't allow myself to forget and to push it off. So that being said, I'm going to double down on my passion projects. I'm going to increase them as well. I'm starting to write my first book, again with your motivation and with your help. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite some time now, and have allowed myself to be a chicken little about it. But now I'm actually, and to what Char's saying, is becoming more organized with it. And with what Adrian's been saying, is in every conversation that I have about it, is just being completely honest about how I feel, about where I am in the process, the fears that I have, but also how excited I am for the process. So what I'm taking with me into 2021 is the reminder that individually we have what it takes. You know, you went through a very stressful year, business wise, family wise, personal health wise. We've all gone through so much this year, and look at us, we're here.
Yeah.
You know, we have what it takes, and really believing that, and having it not come from a place of I need to prove it, coming from a place of imposter syndrome, which obviously is where I would operate from before a lot. You know, I have a self-starter mindset and an overachieving mindset, and that was rooted in imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
All of your help, the three of you, and this year, I've really been able to believe it because it's true, and not because I have to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all of that to say that what I'm taking with me into 2021 is the passion projects that I'm so happy and excited to work on. And I'm also going to go on more walks. I know that may sound a little silly, but I know that's something we do quite a bit. I've heard all year that it's something we should be doing. And if I'm honest, I haven't been. And I'm seeing the effects of not having done that, mentally, emotionally, physically. And it's safe to do so here in the complex where we are. So really getting outside and having that disconnect from being an introvert and just being inside, to being an introvert and being outside. So that resiliency, I think being outside is also going to fuel the resiliency that I'm going to need for this next year.
Yeah. Taking walks is where I get my greatest revelations and my aha moments. I was on a walk last week and I was processing something that someone said to me, and I was really hurting behind it. And I was really just trying to leave it on the walking trail with every step. And finally, something came to me and said, well, had you done this, that probably wouldn't happen. So while it doesn't excuse how someone interacted with me, I had to take ownership for, yeah, you're right. Lesson learned. And I was able to leave that on the trail. I did my best to reconcile with this person. They weren't, having it for whatever reason, but I had to leave that on the trail too. And I feel so much better. So to your point, we've all been through a lot. Everybody on the planet has been through a lot this year. And the fact that we're still here, that's why I wanted to like bling it out this show and the last show, because I'm here and I'm showing up, and I'm showing up better than when I showed, when the year started. But you made so many valuable points. The fact that, leaning into your passion project, writing was my passion project, and leaning into writing really helped me. Establishing my nonprofit, Solving for N Foundation, is really talking about, what's getting in the way, what's driving my imposter syndrome, what's driving my masking, and how is it that the things that I'm portraying to be so positive really might be detrimental. One of the things that came to mind was when I discovered that I need to have a hip replacement. The doctor said, your threshold for pain must be incredibly high, because as long as you've been bone on bone, there's no way that you should just now be coming into me. And I thought about that our high tolerance for pain, those of us who have it, really do damage to ourselves because we just don't know. And when we talk about masking, when we talk about imposter syndrome, when we talk about a high tolerance for emotional pain, how much are we putting up with to our own detriment that we don't realize, but that's also causing pain in our external relationships? So there were a lot of aha moments for me this year. And I'm just like you, grateful to be here. Shar and Adrian, y'all are just both so busy, but you know that I'm here for you when you need me, Shar. I know you and I have tried to connect on a couple times, but bless your heart, as a nurse, you're just running yourself ragged. And Adrian, I know that you're very, very dedicated to your family. But I mean, we're going to be here for each other when we need to be here for each other. And I appreciate this crew so much. Adrian, to your point about having meaningful connections, you all are a meaningful connection to me. And the fact that we can't get together every week like we used to, it breaks my heart, but it makes us getting together for these shows that much more special when we do it. I look forward to seeing you all, to hearing your input, to absorbing your perspective. And I think the work that we're doing, even if it's just for the four of us, is huge. I really do.
I couldn't agree more with you.
So, how are you redefining yourself for 2021?
I guess I'll go first then. Redefining myself.
Thank you, Adrian. Jeez.
Yeah, right next door. Gosh, that is such a big question. I guess redefining myself would be um, understanding my limitations
Mm,
and being able to accept what I can't do and be okay with that and not, beat myself up for not accomplishing things that are beyond my control. Um, being able to understand my limitations and being able to just accept myself where I'm at in any kind of situation and not put so much pressure on myself to
mm.
be perfect and be, all these other things, but to just let it be the way that it is. I'm hoping that I can do that and just allow myself to relax more and allow myself to just enjoy life more and not feel like I have to always have my, breath held in, that I can just kind of exhale some more and feel at peace and more just one with every single moment. I'm really trying to do that and I hope that I can accomplish more of that in the coming year because it's too often that we just miss so many moments in life by just like feeling so uptight and by feeling so stressed.
So, have you been having conversations with my husband? Because every word that you just said, I have just received into my soul. I wish you could be in my skin right now because everything that you just said is such confirmation. I have been a AAA personality forever. Sometimes, depending on the setting, I introduce myself as a recovering perfectionist. And everything that you have just said is huge, especially when I'm at the gym and I'm trying to go back to kickboxing and doing all these crazy kind of squats and the stuff that you see football players do in their spring training. I used to do that stuff. And the fact that I can't do it anymore really gets under my skin. But I have to remember that, again, I'm in a new season and it's okay to recognize the fact that just by time, I have limitations. It's okay. Do I still look good? Heck yeah. Do I feel good? Heck yeah. Can I walk? Can I see? Can I raise my arms? Can I clap? Can I enjoy a good conversation? Can I hear music playing in the background? There's just so many things to be grateful for. And right now, I'm grateful for every pearl of wisdom that just came out of your mouth because it was what I needed to hear. So, who's up next? Eloy or Sade? Who wants to go?
Yeah, if I may, if you don't mind, Char.
By all means.
I agree, Dr. A, that everything that Adrian said was just wonderful and reaffirming and so thank you for your sincerity always. I think personally, to add to that, I'm going to redefine myself as someone who doesn't operate from imposter syndrome, like I had mentioned, but also someone who is not riddled with self-doubt.
Mm.
For so long, I've just battled with self-doubt with virtually every decision that I make. Is it the right timing? Is it the right approach? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I seek more help? Am I equipped? And that's a really stressful place to operate from. And it usually leaves me more exhausted after the fact than happy, grateful, elated that I had opportunities, that I did something, that I accomplished something. I just end up exhausted. And then seeking for the next affirmation, the next project that will affirm what I'm feeling, or what I'm lacking that I'm feeling, or feeling that I'm lacking, excuse me. So I'm redefining myself as someone that doesn't operate from a place of self-doubt, and someone that is not riddled with self-doubt, because it hasn't served me as well or in the ways that I thought it would. And and I'm aware of that now. So now that I'm aware, I can shift. I can redirect the energies, and all the energy, the time, and the efforts I would go into that process, and operate from a better place, a more equipped place, a more humble and honest place, a more, like you're saying, Adrian, place of, or how I perceive it as, I don't always have to be that overachiever. I don't always have to be
Mhm.
the person that's the go-to person for everything. You know, I think sometimes that'll happen for some of us, like in our families, let's say, and then we apply that to everything else, and it's exhausting.
Mhm.
So I'm putting down the self-doubt, and I'm putting down the imposter syndrome, and redefining myself as someone that is capable, um, aware of the limitations, and okay with asking for help.
Mhm. I love how you put that. And it reminded me when you said the word shift, it reminded me of the acronym that I have. And it goes back to what Adrian said about meditation, and what I encourage people to do is find some time to be with themselves. If we sit down and self-assess, what am I feeling? Why am I realizing that I'm sighing so much, right? Self-assess what's going on. Hone in on that thing that comes out. Well, I'm sighing because I'm just kind of frustrated that I feel like I've wasted a lot of time this year. And then the I is investigate. Well, was time really wasted, or was it time where you just needed to unplug and realize you don't have to do everything? Um, the F is the fix, fixing our self perception and our self talk, because what we believe in here comes out right here. And until we fix that self perception, we can't fix our self talk. And the way we talk really dictates a lot of our actions. And then finally, the T is team. Who do I need to team up with? And I've got my crew right here that can help me be accountable to myself. If I decide that redefining myself means I need to stop doing this and start doing that, and do more of this and do more of that, my team is around me to encourage me, to cheer me on, to be a safe space for me to just like share and just be real. So thank you for that, Eloy. And I know you're going to show up as a person that you want to be. Miss Shar, bring us on home, girl.
I changed my answers 3
Uh-oh.
times in the course of this, because there's so many different things that you want to take into 2021, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be compassionate. I want to be forgiving. I want to be understanding. I want to be reliable. And I think I've spent my entire life proving to people that I am those things, making sure that they know without a doubt that I am those things, because we give the love we want to receive. And I think in 2021, I am ready to be all those things for myself. And I know that sounds crazy. Of course, I love myself. Of course, I'm understanding and forgiving. But when you really get to the root of self reflection and all of these reasons that I'm so busy, that I'm so consumed, that I am so reliable and dependable for other people, I'm realizing that it's fear, that I place this value on letting others determine my worth. If I'm there for you, no matter what, no matter if I've gotten an hour of sleep or I'm walking, you're going to know that I'm dependable, which is going to reassure me, yeah, I'm dependable because I walked 5 miles to your house and I had an hour of sleep. But is that the only way that I know I'm dependable? Can I be dependable for myself? Um, can I make sure I get that extra time to sleep because it's going to replenish me and make me stronger for tomorrow? I've just been doing so much internal work that I'm really ready to just love myself and show up for myself the same way that I do other people.
I think that's beautiful. And the fact that you're willing to do the internal work is something that we all can do. Even if it's just a 1% improvement every day, it's still a 1% improvement. And over time, in a year, that's huge. I love how you said that you're no longer going to let what other people think redefine you. Did I get that right?
Yes, determine my worth, essentially.
Determine
Yes.
your worth. Determine your worth. Thank you. That's huge. And how many of us suffer from that? I mean, I think that's what that FOMO, fear of missing out, is based in, is, what other people are doing, what other people seem to be, living their best life and all that. How are you setting yourself up to measure yourself against people who could be just flossing, or that just could be a moment in time, but their whole everyday is not this right here that you just happen to see in a snapshot. And so I think that moving forward, it seems to me that since this is an insanity check, the crazy thing is we're still comparing ourselves either with an unrealistic expectation of ourselves or with non-existent personas of others that we happen to see in a moment of time. If I were to sum up crazy for 2020, I think that would be it. And I think going around the discussion today, we've all examined aspects of that crazy, whether it's, I'm not quite sure what to do, whether it's, I realize that I'm masking, whether it's, I realize that I don't need to determine my value based on what other people may or may not think. Those things are crazy. And not knowing how amazing we are is crazy. Not giving ourselves the credit for getting up every day is crazy. Not being willing to stretch ourselves and grow is crazy. And not giving ourselves credit for just showing up still is crazy. So with those sentiments, I want to ask, how much more are you going to celebrate yourself this year, and what is that going to look like when we go into 2021?
A lot more.
Okay, that is way too vague. I need some specifics.
I guess I just don't think about like celebrating myself too often, and in the ways that like I can relate to Shar, like being there for others but not being there for yourself. Like I guess sometimes it's not your first instinct to think about, celebrating yourself in ways that you should. I've started to do it though, whether it comes to like my personal confidence. It's been something that I've worked on so much. And I think it's time for me to appreciate myself more for putting in that work, for, loving on myself in ways that I didn't before, and being able to thank myself in different ways for it too. I'm not exactly sure what it looks like, but I want to tap into that, and I want to be able to just appreciate myself for, like you said, making it this far, because a lot of people unfortunately don't do that.
Yeah. I think what you just said about, I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but I'm definitely going to pursue that. That's a huge step forward, because like you, I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I know that I need to celebrate a lot more. And celebrating is not necessarily spending exorbitant amounts of money on something. Although I do have my eye on this leather jacket that I'm waiting to go on sale as a huge celebration. But I mean, how, we've got to figure out how to celebrate ourselves. So, Eloy, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, so the first one was treat yourself, right? But what I'm the second thought, probably the more plausible thought, is practical thought, is affirmations. For me, literally reminding myself and telling myself, you know what, you're capable. And having those affirmations daily really do shift my energy and really do allow myself to fuel myself in that way. You're a wonderful human. You made it through today. You're capable. You're a beautiful person. Really spending that time in myself, with myself in the mirror, and just seeing my face, seeing my wisdom lines, and as everything is changing, with age and just with experience, and having that moment be when I affirm myself and say those things to myself of you're capable, you're beautiful, you're a wonderful human. Um, and like Shar saying, reminding myself, show up for yourself. By saying it out loud and saying it to myself, I can hold myself accountable and make sure to do it and have it happen in a way that doesn't cause more stress, because it's just a friendly reminder.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Show up for yourself. All right, Miss Shar, how you end up last again, and usually I go to you first? What's going on? Am I saving
I
the
don't
best
know.
for last in this show, or what?
Yes,
Oh no.
precisely.
What you got?
I think the best thing that I could do for myself is to praise myself. I feel like, kind of going back to what I was saying, that I rely on other people to validate what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I feel. And I feel like whether people agree, whether they say it first, I need to acknowledge the things that I'm doing and accomplishing and the growth that I'm making. And I need to share that. So, if that's once a day, I'm highlighting, whether it's in a phone call, whether it's on social media. We accomplish so much, and like you said, just getting out of bed in the morning is an accomplishment. And if I want to share, hey, I got out of bed today. It was difficult. I didn't want to, but I did it.
Yeah.
Then I deserve that. So.
And I think more people can relate to that than not. Well, crew, this is our last show for 2020. And I have to say that I have enjoyed the journey. What have we been doing this since what? May, June? I don't even know.
I think around that time. Yeah, I think you had just been in recovery for your hip, so it was a little after that.
I think so. And this has been phenomenal. Like I said, I look forward to it every month. I wish we could still, get together for our pre-show discussions once a week, but I'll take you when I can get you. This has been awesome. And I want to thank our audience. We are still growing, but I appreciate every single one of our listeners. And the leader of our fan club, Steph Nagami. Hey, Steph. Thank you for listening. Thank you for helping us to spread the word. You can catch all of these Insanity Check with Dr. Nita podcasts on my YouTube channel, Dr. Nita PhD. Please go, please subscribe, please share with everyone you know. The format for these shows is the first Saturday of the month, I have a monologue that talks about the theme for the month. The second and third Saturday, I show up with my crew and we talk about what's crazy. And then we look at things from a more personal perspective. And the last Saturday of the month is Real Conversations with Dr. Nita, where I bring in a subject matter expert to tie up the theme for the month. And I'm so excited to be ending this year with Nicole Hadley, who is my talk therapist. She is a marriage and family therapist. She's amazing. I can't wait to share a little bit more about my journey this year and share some tools and tips for you to make sure that 2021 is fabulous. That being said, I want to thank my co-contributors, Adrian and Eloy and Sade. I love you all. You are my family, my extended family that we're going to reach the whole world with and impact for the better. Any closing thoughts for 2020, everybody, before we sign off?
Stay blessed and keep it real.
Hey, that's mine, but you can borrow it. You know what? Before y'all just like completely jack me, that's it. This show is over. So, how's everybody doing?
I feel, if I may begin.
Okay, first of all, before you begin, this was something that I wanted to do when you said wisdom lines. Where do you have wisdom lines? Because you're just too young for wisdom lines. I was like, is he kidding me? That's not to say you don't have wisdom, but I didn't see any lines there, baby. What is going on?
You're so great. Thank you.
Did I scare you?
No.
No, you have beautiful eyes.
Adrian's like, what's she doing?
No, you're wonderful. Thank you. I just feel so full, emotionally and psychologically, after hearing you all speak and be so sincere. And like you're saying, know that we're not alone in the struggles that we go through, but also I'm able to learn from each one of you through your honesty and through your sincerity, and how you show up for this podcast and how you show up for yourselves. It's not lost on me how blessed and fortunate I am to be a part of this crew. So just thank you so much to all of you.
Isn't this a fun group? This is such a fun group.
It is.
We really are.
We're a good time.
And
I
we're
can
amazing. Go
it's
on.
a highlight of 2020 for me. If I'm thinking of like the greatest hits of the year, being able to do this, being a part of this, Eloy for introducing me to you amazing people, and for just being able to have conversations that I didn't think I would have before, and like coming into my own when it comes to acknowledging my voice and what I have to say, and just feeling validated by you guys. It's been such a blessing. So I'm so grateful for that. Every single Saturday that we get to do it.
Do you remember, Adrian? How do you bring me to tears all the time?
Oh
Do you
my God.
remember?
Right?
Do you remember in our first show, I had told you, I said, Adrian, you have a voice that we need to hear, and the voice that you bring is usually the voice that I want to end on, because you have a way of illuminating a topic that is like no one I've ever heard. And it was through that first after show conversation that we had that you stepped into your voice, and every time you open your mouth,
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
everybody on this show has a voice that is so valuable. If we never did another show after this one, this has been an amazing experience. And I just can't even put it into words right now. What you all bring to this, what you all bring to me, what you bring to each other, but most importantly, what the mix of the four of us brings to an audience that I hope just gets bigger. But again, if it doesn't, the people that hear us and invest their time with us, those are the people that need it. And those are the people that we're speaking to. And those are the people that we're blessing. So, Shar.
Oh, I can't end it on just stay blessed and keep it real.
No, you cannot. You ended the show, but you cannot end the after show with that. No, you got to come up with something.
I know. I was going to say, I was so surprised at my vulnerability this show, but then you started crying. And so I felt like we were all vulnerable during this show. And I think over, the last handful of months that we've done this, it has pushed us all to be so vulnerable. Yeah. Beginning this, we didn't have the closest of relationship. We were associates getting to know each other. And the type of things that we were sharing is, I got to trust you to really, let my hair down and tell you what I think about such controversial topics. And the fact that we allowed each other the space and the non-judgment and the unconditional love that I support you, even if your opinion differs from mine, is what we needed, is what people needed to see that, to see people from different backgrounds coming together and having difficult conversations, because that's what 2020 was. Yeah. So I'm grateful for the growth and the maturity and the vulnerability that I've learned throughout this process. I can't explain how life-altering it has been since Eloy has come into my life, and the connections that I've made through him. Dr. Anita, I've only known you a short period of time. I haven't even got to share my personal experiences, but I place you, I don't want to say I place you on such a high pedestal, but I look up to you, and I appreciate your opinion. And every time, you say something, it's, I get like excited. I almost get butterflies, because I'm like, this is truth. This is real. This is fact. And this is what I crave and I desire to learn and to grow from those that have more experience. So this has been amazing.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you acknowledging my experience and not my wisdom lines. Thank you.
Baby, black don't crack. What are you talking about?
Girl, hush. See, I didn't want to say that.
Okay, if we can put out there that a certain someone made a comment, if I win, It's meant to be. If I don't, it's rigged. Then
Yeah, good point.
go ahead and talk about the benefits of my melatonin.
There you go. There you go. The benefits of my melatonin. I think I'm going to have to use that somehow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for an amazing year. This concludes our after show, but I want to leave you with this thought. You all are absolute gems. You deserve to celebrate yourselves. Go out and do it. And I'm looking for my Shar, you put it out there. I want my thing. I want my thing so that we can use that in the show starting January.
Done.
Sounds good?
It's
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
works.
Thank you.
I love you. Mwah.
Love
You
you guys.
guys, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.